Hey guys, Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me today. We got to get the quick fist watch check out of the way. Let's go ahead and do it now. You just sit there and relax. I got this. Guys, I'm a dog trainer. Please support me and this channel by buying a copy of my latest book, The Art of Training Your Dog. Hardcover or electronic, you can get it globally. If you're not a dog lover, buy it for someone who is, and subscribe to this channel so we can do this again soon. Throw a like on this video. Now let's get along with the fist watch check. And today, fellas, I am wearing a watch that is apropos to the meat and potatoes of this video, the OP41 in turquoise. Guys, I can't tell if it goes with this sweater or if it clashes it, because this is green and this is turquoise. But I digress. Let's jump into this. Fellas, here's the thing. Coming up soon in April, Rolex will be making their announcements of what's new for 2022. They may discontinue some things, and they may introduce some new, who knows, brand new watches, or at least some new dials and some new features. First, let me quickly address two rumors that I want to establish that I believe one is correct and one is incorrect. So let's start with this watch here. I started the rumor, guys, so I believe it. And that is, I have it on good authority from multiple ADs in various parts of the world that they have heard from Rolex not to sell any more of these. I heard that back in November when I purchased this one for $17,900. So multiple ADs have heard from Rolex that this is being discontinued and they should no longer accept orders for it. And that goes back into late fall of last year. Okay, kind of an unusual scenario because it remains on the website even as of today. And normally Rolex pulls something off the website once they discontinue it. But due to the fact that so many ADs have heard that news, it makes me believe that this is going to get discontinued just the way the early Stella dials were quickly discontinued a year and a half, 2-3 years into their existence back in the 70s. I think it'll get discontinued this April. Now, this watch went nuts. Not just because I put out a video in November telling you to hurry up and buy one for $18 when you still could, but because Patek surprised me and everybody else with that Tiffany blue Nautilus, which drove this watch even higher. Since that happened, this watch went up supposedly into the 40s and 50s. It's settling into the low 30s now, but I think it's going to get discontinued. So this is one of those watches that you can't get now. Why is it relevant to the topic of this video? Because if you looked at this watch, at this dial, in its first few months of introduction, and you said, dang, I like that. I'm bold, I'm brave. This doesn't hardly even look like a Rolex to me, and therefore that's exactly why I want one. You bought one for under $6,000 MSRP because nobody was asking for them except for the bold, the few, and the brave, and the stylish. Okay, I looked at it and I didn't like it. And then it just started growing on me, but that was like 8 months later, and by the time that happened, they got really stupidly impossible to get, and you know what happened since then. The next rumor I want to kibosh before we really jump into the full video topic is that the Daytona, people keep saying the ceramic Daytona at 49 millimeters, really it's kind of more like 39. They keep saying that that's going to get discontinued in favor of a 41 millimeter version, and I say poppycock. That's silly. I don't believe that for a second. You know, could I be wrong? Yeah, but 8% chance. 7.9% at best. That's what I'm saying. So we'll see. In fact, Rolex just put out a beautiful new video. If you're on Instagram, you subscribe to the Rolex official channel and watch that beautiful little video they did of the current model Daytona Panda. I think it's a certainty that they're going to keep that at least for another few years. And if they do change it anytime quickly to make it bigger, I feel like they'll be chasing Tudor, and I feel like that's the last thing that they want to do is to chase their own little sister. So guys, here's what I want to talk to you about today. In April, whatever the changes are going to come about, you're going to look at some of these watches and you're going to say, I don't like them. Here's a perfect example of how that happened last time. When Rolex changed the tried and true 40 millimeter Submariner to 41 millimeters. They widened the bracelet, they widened and elongated the clasp, and they got rid of the Hulk, my beloved Hulk. They got rid of it, and they came out instead with what I'm calling the Cermet, which is black dial, green bezel. And everybody looked at that and thought, meh, don't like it. But it was because we were so used to the old version. See, Rolex knows what we're going to want before we know. We have this fear of new. We say that Rolex changes very slowly and very incrementally, and it's true, and we criticize them for that. And I think that it's valid. They don't do things radically, usually. Every once in a while, every 3-4 decades, they might surprise you. But generally speaking, their changes are incremental, and they move this far in 25 years. But we collectors are very similar in our thinking and in our adoption and adaptation to the new stuff. So we see something new and we go, we don't like it. Why? Because it's new, because it's different. That silly little millimeter, which is barely detectable, that they added to the Submariner, and then the little bit of extra width on the bracelet and extra length on the clasp, which is in fact detectable, people didn't like it. The new Cermet, people didn't particularly like it. Why? Because they were used to what they had before, which was the super case with the maxi dial and the bright green Hulk dial, and then the Cermet didn't have that. My Hulk is a perfect example of a radical Rolex introduction that people don't like until they do. And they don't like it because it's new. This watch used to sell under MSRP. And that held for a long time. Like a year after its introduction, you could buy this watch for about $7,900. I was lucky to purchase it brand new from James & Sons for MSRP. Chrono 24 is now showing them listed at somewhere between $25,000 and $28,000 because you can't get them anymore. People finally got used to the idea, but most of us got left in the lurch. Why? Because we didn't like it until we did, but by then it was unavailable. But people who asked for it, especially those, guys, and here's a critical point, especially those who had a good working relationship with their Rolex AD, when they put an order in immediately after changes on the new stuff, by and large, those people bought those watches without a lot of muss and fuss. Because here's another little secret. When Rolex puts out new stuff, we collectors tend to go, I don't like it. And then, of course, 6 months later, we're like, it's growing on me. I think I want one. 8 months later, you want one and you can't get one. But what Rolex does in that first 6 weeks or so after the new introductions is they spurt a bunch of those watches into the market to get the buzz going. And this is your prime buying opportunity. So my advice is keep an eye on what Rolex is going to do or what they do. And here's a critical factor. The more radical the change, the more likely the stodgy, conservative, typical Rolex fanboy is going to sit back and go, I don't like it. And 1 year later, he's going to love it, but he'll be unable to get it. So my advice to you folks is, when the new stuff comes out, I wouldn't buy something I don't like. I would never suggest you do that, because then you're going to end up flipping it or being unhappy. If you flip it, you're going to mess up your relationship with your AD. If you keep it and you're unhappy, well, that's not good. But what I recommend that you do is, let's say they change something in a line of watches that you really do like. So let's take the OP41. Let's say you like the OP41, but they come out with a, some dial variation that you never thought you would possibly see in a million years. Let's say palm frond, tropical womp, dial, just like they did on that 36 millimeter Datejust, which is another good example. Try and get one of those fellas. If you see something like that come out, something wild, something crazy, something that makes you go, I don't know, I'm not sure, maybe this will grow on me over time. It's going to grow on you. It's going to take 6 or 8 months. And by that time, you will be unable to get it, and it will be trading at double and triple retail. So don't buy a watch that you don't like. Never do that, guys. I think as collectors, at one time or another, we have all bought a watch to fit into our Facebook group and or our watch group, and that's never a good idea. Stick with what you like. That's a learning curve to even figure that much out. I really thought I liked the pre-ceramic Rolexes, and I had a few, and then I discovered I didn't like them at all, that they felt jingly jangly to me. I decided I really detested hollow center links and tinfoil clasps, and it's the new modern iteration with ceramic and milled out clasps. You know, I love that stuff. So, but I didn't know. It took me some years to really develop fully my taste. And that's going to happen to you, okay? In April, Rolex is going to discontinue something, and they're going to come out with something, or they're going to come out with a variation on a watch that you like, but you're going to look at that variation and you're going to think, I don't know, man. I don't know about this one. This is Goldberg talking to you from bitter experience right now. That's the watch that you need to jump on, fellas, okay? You do not have 6 months to putz around and decide, you know, can I stand, you know, palm fronds on my OP41? Because what you're going to be doing is saying, I don't know. And then you're going to be thinking about it. And then you're going to see it on Instagram. And then somebody else is going to post it. And then you're going to read a review about it. And then you're going to read an article about it. And then you're going to watch 2 or 3, you know, YouTube videos about it. And then one day you're going to wake up and your taste will have altered radically, just the way mine did on this. You know, I saw it and I thought, oh, that's very bold, but it doesn't look like a Rolex. So I don't want it. I feel like it's insecure. And that was another thing. I felt like I would be throwing away my money because, like, who would ever want to buy this thing from me if and when I get tired of it? And look how strong it looks, so I'll probably get tired of it. And therefore, out of conservatism and fear, I didn't buy it. Well, I learned my lesson on that one, and I think I can save you some trouble too. If you like it, you think long and hard, guys. If it's different, if it's bold, don't be boring. Get out there and buy the new stuff, because you're going to have a very slim opportunity to do that. I estimate your potential to be strongest in the first 4 or 5 weeks. After that, supply is going to, you know, get demolished. So I'm probably shooting myself in the foot, because I would have a lot less competition for the new. You know, I have talked to my favorite AD. As you know, I'm really fond of James & Sons in Orland Park, but they got a couple other locations also here in Illinois and Indiana too. And I like these guys. They sold me the Panda Daytona, so I owe them a big debt of gratitude for that. But I haven't gone to them and said, hey, when the new stuff comes out, reserve me whatever, because you can't do that. I feel like that's silly. You have to wait and see what's out, so that you're sure it matches your taste. And if you just put in this blanket, save me something, you know, just new, well, your AD is going to feel like you are more than likely not a real serious buyer. If you do not have a relationship with an AD, and if Rolex comes out with something kind of wacky this year, run to 2 or 3 ADs, introduce yourself, and look for those, because the wacky stuff is what nobody will be asking for in the first month. And so your chances of making that relationship in the first place are better in April, and maybe even into May this year than at any other time possible. Guys, did I get this right? Tell me what you think. Let's talk about it in the comments. I will be there with you. Subscribe to this channel so we can do it again. It promises to be an excellent year, and we'll talk about it again soon. Goldberg, peace out.
Paint the sky your favorite color.